Hello, today is Wednesday, January 28th, 2026. I'm Tom Worth, and the world continues to reject Trump's private army from Minneapolis to Davos, as I said yesterday, was a rejection of just Trump's power assertion over the world. But now it's the rejection of his private army from Minneapolis to Milano. In a week and 2 days, we have the opening ceremonies of the Winter Olympics, and that's in Italy, it's in Milan, it's in Cortina. And what I noticed yesterday was rumblings of ICE being in Milan, and that was shocking. And I was following up on that today, and apparently it's shocking to the Italians as well. And just the outright rejection of Trump's private army. I think the Italians know a thing or two about private thug armies for fascists. I'm pretty sure they may have invented the modern fascist private militia early in the 20th century with Mussolini, who of course was Hitler's idol, his role model. It's what he tried to model himself after, and then ultimately surpassed him, of course. But I was looking at this today and looking for more comments to see what kind of role ICE would have. Surely they're not going to be on the streets of Milan wearing their ICE jackets. They're non-mat, they don't even have jackets. A lot of times they just have they're just like, I mentioned this yesterday, they look like the Proud Boys out there. Are they going to be walking around masked with no uniforms, just guns? I doubt it. And I was looking for something today about this, and here's what the mayor of Milan had to say. He says, "This is a militia that kills. Can't we just say no to Trump for once?" That's the mayor of Milan. That's what he thinks about this. He's not calling it immigration control and enforcement. He is calling it a militia that kills. He's watching what's going on in Minneapolis, just like the entire world is. And when he gets wind that this ICE crew is coming to his city, what's his reaction going to be? Giorgia Meloni is the Prime Minister of Italy. She was seen by some as a Trump ally. She's pretty conservative herself. She was very conservative early on in her career. She's moderated somewhat from what I gather, but you'll see her rolling her eyes and raising her eyebrows when forced to stand next to Trump or behind Trump in some group settings. So she's just as shocked and alarmed by his comments as many of us are, and tries to talk sense to him behind the scenes. Is kind of her MO, is what it seems like. But the Italian foreign minister, a guy named Antonio Tajani, just to try to calm everyone down, to lower the temperature, he says it's not like the SS are about to arrive. So this is what's going through the minds of these Italian public officials. The SS, a militia that kills, that's what they're thinking about ICE. Didn't see anything from Meloni yet, but she's working the phones and trying to calm people down. At the end of the day, what it looks like it is there's an arm of ICE. ICE is part of Homeland Security, DHS, Department of Homeland Security. So you have ICE, you have Immigration Control and Enforcement, and they have an investigative arm. Not the enforcement part, the arresting part, but they do have an investigative arm, supposedly. And that's who was working on these investigations of the shootings, or at least the one on Saturday, where they actually said there were two people who shot, not just the one, as was initially claimed by DHS falsely before they had any information. So they are looking into some things. They do have an investigative arm, and that's who this will be limited to. it's there for J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is going to be leading our delegation for the Olympics. So yeah, you got to look at his face all over the place, at least at the opening ceremonies. He is going to be there, and the resistance is working because I'm sure he doesn't like being told what to do, what he can and can't have ICE do. But this was a pretty good description of what exactly their role is. Their stated mission is to, quote, vet and mitigate risks from transnational criminal organizations sharing intelligence on human trafficking, counterfeit goods, and potential terrorist threats. So you want that function to be there, right? You want to do your part as the United States or as any country. You want to contribute to the overall safety of the event. So what they are tasked with, this investigative arm of ICE, it's called HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, and it's separate from the enforcement and removal operations, which is what's happening on the streets of American cities, where they're rounding up people, ripping people apart, arresting people at work, murdering people in the streets, peaceful protesters in the streets. That's the enforcement and removal operations arm. That's what's not going to be in Milano, apparently. I don't know if they ever were or if it was only ever this investigative arm of this. And just to be clear, Italian officials have had to go out of their way to calm everyone down and say that these agents will operate exclusively out of an operations room inside the U.S. consulate in Milan. And they will not have police powers on Italian streets and will not be conducting immigration enforcement. It's shocking that they would have to clarify this. That it's just shocking. It's unbelievable. It's stunning. It's not like, what reality are we living in that they have to go out of their way to say this? You will have at every Olympics behind the scenes security operations. It happens every time. And the fact that they're having to go and say this is just lunacy. It is nuts. But they have to. They have these concerns themselves. These foreign ministers in Italy, the mayor of the host city, one of the host cities, that's what they've been reduced to. And some have accused Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of taking orders from Washington. She's not, but she has to toe somewhat of a line in order to try to keep Trump's ear, I'm sure. I'm sure that's what's going on. But this is a worldwide rejection of Trump's powers. And it couldn't come at a better time. We've got the World Cup in the United States this summer. And one of the final two cities, you have the final being hosted in New York, New Jersey. I want to say it's in the Meadowlands, which is part of the New York City, part of the metro area of New York, technically in New Jersey. But the two semifinal games, one of them is here in my hometown in Arlington, Texas. It's at the Cowboys Stadium, holds 100,000 people, the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. And there's going to be people here. And more people are canceling their travel reservations. And I'm sure they might feel better about it in New York than they would in Texas. But what foreigners are going to want to take their chances and coming to deep red Texas? Maybe you think you'll be better off because Trump tends to not sic ICE on states that voted for him. It's on blue states that he's turned them loose. His rabid dogs. But I mean, you're coming from a foreign country. We have outright banned citizens of Iran and Haiti and a couple other nations who are in the World Cup from attending. If you don't already have a visa to travel here, the U.S. has already said they're not going to be issuing more. So the U.S. is saying, we don't want you. That's what Trump is saying. We don't want foreigners to come here with these policies. And a lot of you are getting the message. And I'm fine with it. I am fine with it. I don't think it's going to help Arlington one bit. The economic impact to these cities and these major events now are rarely, if ever, enough to offset the cost and the preparation and the disruption to the cities. Like, they used to be this huge financial boon where you could undertake huge architectural and infrastructure improvements to your cities. That's what it was decades ago, really throughout the 20th century. But now that's just not having the economic impact in a positive way that it once did. The costs often outweigh the benefits to these things. And it's just a semifinal match here. I don't know that we have any other preliminary matches. We may, but semifinal is a big one, and we were in the running for the entire World Cup final to be played here. That would have been pretty amazing. I don't know. Amy, you tell me. Are you guys going to boycott the World Cup here in the U.S. this summer? What about 2 years from now? That's an election year. That's 2028. And that's when the Summer Olympics are in Los Angeles, deep blue California. Would you boycott that? Would you boycott the Olympics in the United States? I guess we'll see what Trump does over the next couple of years. But I could see the World Cup this summer being a total dud, a total disaster as far as international attendance goes. I don't think it's keeping the tickets down. Those are already through the roof. That's FIFA's doing. You even had a former criminally corrupt head of FIFA calling for a boycott to this. That dude knows something about corruption. And yeah, that's where we're at now. Keep your eye on the Olympics and keep your eye on the resistance continuing to build against Trump, against ICE. This is not popular here. It's not popular anywhere. And I'm loving it. Okay, that's it for now. Like and subscribe if you would. I appreciate you all watching, and we'll talk later.